I'm making a famous Roman sauce today called Checca Sauce. It's an uncooked tomato sauce, so now's the time to make it if it's during the summer months, or you can make it any time of year with grape tomatoes or good tomatoes that you can find. In Rome, they usually toss some hot pasta with the Checca sauce, but I'm going to roast a piece of salmon and top my salmon with it. You can do this with a grilled chicken breast or put this on bruschetta, anything that you want. You'll find the ingredients listed below in the description box and the full recipe at My Italian Kitchen by Chef Diane Mantica on Facebook. Have a great day and ciao. I have about 16 ounces of grape tomatoes. I'm going to hand chop these, but by all means, if you have a food processor, you can make quick work of this recipe by mincing your tomatoes in your food processor. So now I'm going to take this and chop it down a little bit more. This can be a really rustic sauce, so don't worry about it. Just grab a couple of handful of tomatoes and get yourself a good sharp knife and just do a quick rough chop. I'm using all of the scallion. A lot of times you use just the green or just the white, particularly in Asian cooking. So make sure you cut off the little root part, and I like to trim off any of the ratty ends. And now I'm just going to cut them in half and bring them up in one big bunch. This is just so easy this way. And in these go now to the Checca sauce. So I'm a big fan of garlic, but if you don't like it that much, I would say just put a small garlic clove in, and that will be enough. I always like to take a little bit of time when I'm doing something like this to make sure that I have a really good distribution of the ingredients. This is looking gorgeous. I just have 2 more ingredients left, and that will be my fresh basil and some olive oil, and I'll season this with salt and pepper. So we're adding our fresh basil to the Checca sauce. Before I start working on my salmon, I want to get my baking dish ready. I just have a non-stick cookie sheet. I really love these. But with fish, they can really stick to whatever surface you're cooking them on. So I always like to cook fish, if I can, in the oven with a piece of parchment paper. This parchment paper is going to roll up, so a great way to stop that is to punch it up. And what that does is it gets rid of all that little bit of bend. Then just undo it, straighten it out, and you have yourself a good surface to bake on. So I have a little bit over 1 pound of Norwegian salmon here. I asked for a center cut because usually they're very thick and you don't have to deal with the tail, although you can always turn the tail of a piece of fish underneath, tuck it underneath, and you'll see that in my haddock piccata video, and you can kind of take care of that because the tail will always overcook before the center of the fish. But look at this. Now he didn't skin this for me, I didn't ask, and I'm going to skin my piece of salmon. So if you want to fillet, although you can see that this end is really thinned out, but it's still not like the tail, and I think we'll be safe with it. But anyway, a fillet knife is the way to go. And what I do is I start underneath as low as I can where the skin is. I try and sort of grab onto that and start really wiggling my knife. There, I think this is going to be a better view. So you can see I began with the fillet process, and I really just want to keep my knife as flat as I can. And every once in a while I give it a check to make sure it's coming out okay. And if you make a mistake, hey, I've done it many times, don't even worry about it. So keep going, straight down as low as you can. And I didn't get that over there, so let me kind of work on that a little. Sometimes you can also lift up your piece of fish and you can help it along a little bit if you've messed up a little, or you can even peel it back. So here I go, let me get back here a little bit. My knife is only so big. You can definitely ask your fishmonger or the grocery store where you buy your fish to do this for you. So let's take a look. That's pretty good. So these are 2 good-sized pieces that will be about 8 ounces per piece, and that's about an average that a person eats because fish is way lighter than meat, so you can actually consume more. Now if I want, I can turn this little lower area, this narrow area under slightly, and that's what I was talking about, and then you'll have the same consistency, the same thickness rather, of sort of the center part and this part. And let's do that. So I'm going to grab my baking dish, my baking tray with my parchment on it, and put my salmon on that. Now I want to keep the salmon pieces a little bit away from each other, so if you have 4 pieces, make sure you've got a nice big cookie sheet or baking dish and let them breathe a little bit. So see, this is turned in just a little bit, and I'm going to place this one right here, and I'm also going to turn this sort of narrower part of the salmon inward, and I'm going to place that right there. My oven has preheated to 400 degrees. I usually cook fish at a high temperature. It sounds kind of strange, but it really works unless you're doing a whole fish that still has the bone in, and then you cook that for a really long time on a very low temperature. I'm going to put some olive oil and salt and pepper to give this some nice flavor. So I'm going to use extra virgin olive oil, get myself a paintbrush. So I just poured out a small amount, just enough for the fish, and then I have to toss this. So once again now, I want to give it a little bit of extra seasoning. I learned that as a chef too, that you season as you go. Sometimes every step of the way, just a little bit of seasoning builds beautiful flavor. So in the oven, this is going. I'm going to bake this for about 15 to 20 minutes. And you know your fish is done when you take a fork in the center, pull the fish out of the oven, and if it flakes apart, you're really all set. I put the timer on for about 15 minutes. I would rather check in 15 minutes than overcook the fish. That's everybody's really big fear, is overcooking their fish. So see how it is in about 15 minutes, and then if it looks like it needs a little bit more, I'll do that little test with the fork, and then I know I can pop it back in for another 5, say, but not much more than that. So it's been 15 minutes and my timer went off, so let's see how that salmon's looking. It sure does smell great. I'm just going to tuck into this piece here, and it looks to me as though this is done. I might give it just a few more minutes. Some people like their salmon a little bit raw in the center, and it's absolutely appropriate. I'm giving this just about 3 or 4 more minutes. So I've decided to take my salmon out about 3 minutes later, and I know this is done. Grab a really nice dinner plate that will work with the size of the salmon. And that's scooped off really easily because of that parchment paper. And this fits just about right. Now it's time to add our grape sauce to this. And I just usually mix it up right before, after it's been sitting. You can make this ahead and keep it in your fridge. I would say for maybe 1 day, or don't dress it and then just wait until you're ready to serve it and add that olive oil and finish seasoning it. So I just pop it right on top, and I certainly want some of those beautiful juices too that you see falling to the side. That's the olive oil and the tomatoes. This is just fabulous. I think I'm going to stop right there, and you can also keep a little of this on the table if someone wants a little bit more. So now it's time for the taste. Make sure you grab some of your really nice sauce along with the piece of salmon. And I'm even going to dip it a little bit in that beautiful olive oil. And it looks like it's done just right. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm looking forward to making more great Italian cooking videos for you.